Wales will wear green. Excitement in the crowd building up for today's Rugby World Cup match in Pool 2 between Canada and Wales. Canada's team today is their strongest possible. They have the solid kicking players, number 15 Mark Wyatt and number 10 Gareth Rees in the lineup. They've shuffled winger Tommy Woods into the centre to allow Steve Gray, number 11, to come onto the left wing. In the forwards, it's an all-Ontario front row of Heinsohn, McKellar and Svoboda, which is a little strange when you consider the high percentage of players who come from British Columbia. The veterans, De Goody and Heinsohn are the locks, and Bruce Breen comes in to join Glenn Ennis and Rob Frame as the loose forward trio. That's Canada. Wales have put number 10 Jonathan Davis in as their captain today, and he'll be partnering little Raymond Giles of Aberavon in the halfbacks. The two centres have had problems with injuries in their careers. That's Devereaux and Bowen. The experienced Hadley and Evans are on the wings. Paul Thorburn once again is behind them at fullback. In the forwards, it's a return to international rugby for Alan Phillips, the hooker. He'll be the pack leader. Steve Sutton, the locks, has his first World Cup game with the Norster to rest Richard Moriarty, the captain. Paul Moriarty, the brother, plays blindside flanker again. There they are in green again, and there's their new captain, Jonathan Davis. These scenes from underneath the grandstand here at Rugby Park in Invercargill. They flipped the ball very quickly to Alan Phillips to give him the first touch of the ball for 5 years in international football. Here comes Canada with the maple leaf. And what a picture it's going to be in Rugby Park this afternoon. Shortly the national anthem, the first national anthem, O Canada, followed by Land of My Fathers for the team from Wales. And the last line is not bad advice for defensive thoughts today. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Now, land of my fathers. So it's always a great moment to hear two fine national anthems, and there they were from Canada, Land for O Canada, and land of my fathers from Wales. And shortly we're to see this match kick off. And funnily enough, there's an irony here. The first international match to be played in Invercargill, refereed by a Southlander, Dave Bishop from Tiana. That's just 2 hours drive up towards Fiordland. He's from the Northern Southland Sub-Union. And Dave Bishop tells me that the nearest game he has to referee is in Mossburn, where he has to travel 70 kilometres, and the furthest he travels in club play is 120 kilometres. He clocks up 13 or 14,000 kilometres every year in the pursuit of blowing the whistle. And it's taken him all the way around the world for rugby internationals, but for his 5th international, it's back here to virtually his home track here at Rugby Park, Invercargill, the home of rugby in Southland. So the westerly wind in the first half will favour the team from Canada. Referee Dave Bishop begins this Pool 2 match between Canada in the red and Wales in the green at Rugby Park in Invercargill, with the westerly wind favouring Team Canada in the first 40 minutes. And there is their captain today, the first time he has captained Wales, their brilliant fly half, the man they call the Neath Houdini, Jonathan Davis. And into the wind, he may just be taking his time. So the match will virtually start with this kick out. Steve Blackmore, number 3. That's Ian Stewart, number 9 for Canada. And he got barreled a bit early by Bob Norster. And so Canada have the first penalty, and it's going to be a shot at goal. Now, taking the shots today in the early stages, the man with the Welsh name, Gareth Rees. Can you believe that? He's playing for Canada against Wales with a name like that. So it's almost as bad as Duncan Robertson playing for the All Blacks, as you did, Duncan, against Scotland.
Yes, it is, Keith. And he's a very, very good player also. The referees have been very quick to penalise players right throughout the World Cup for that infringement.
So this is Rees, just a 19-year-old, Canada's youngest ever international, when he first played as a 17-year-old in Team Canada. What a start for the youngster. And Canada away to a 3-point lead.
Well, they're going to need points, Keith. This wind is actually getting stronger, and they're going to need quite a few more points with this wind behind them.
Remember, there is an equation which says Wales can lose the match but win the pool if they score a lot of tries. So they are behind on tries. They've scored 5 tries in their 2 matches. Canada have scored 8. And this is the man who got into a bit of bother at Palmerston North when Wales played last time in the green. That's Sir Paul Thorburn, when he, remember, collided with 2 players in back movements. But we're told that the rhythm and fluency is back in the Welsh backs today, so it'll be interesting to see how Thorburn handles it. Canada have made the early start on the board against Wales, and that's Phil Davis through again on Gareth Rees. Having a look now at the front rows, number 3 is Steve Blackmore. He was the replacement against Tonga. The near prop for Canada is Randy McKellar. It's an all-Ontario front row against an all-Cardiff front row. 6 members of the Cardiff club in the green pack today, and 1 former member in the Canadian pack. Hans de Goody had a season or 2 playing in Cardiff for the Cardiff club. Halfback for Wales in his first appearance also since 1982. In fact, the halfback and the hooker haven't played internationals for 4 or 5 years each. That's Ray Giles. Davis. 13 is Devereaux. Look at Hadley go. Oh, lovely setup. And Ieuan Evans has struck back for Wales with a lovely try down the right wing.
It's a good try. I think actually
they had their problems at Palmerston North with their back play, with collisions and crashing into each other, but there was no sign of that as Adrian Hadley came in from the left and joined the movement and gave it to Ian Evans. And there's today's first try.
Well, here it is coming through out now through the backs. It's just a quick flick out, and in comes the fullback, and he just seems to waltz through. Nobody wants to tackle him, and away he goes. Players outside him. No, not really any real gas on. Good pass. Try.
Paul Thorburn with the attempted conversion. And he's bent it in beautifully. So Wales strike back strongly. They're in the lead now. And we've only had a few minutes play, 6-3.
By number 14, Ian Evans, converted by number 15, Paul Thorburn.
So if there was any complacency among the Canadian supporters and the players, it's gone with that try. Nicely taken and simply taken by Wales. There's little Raymond Giles from Aberavon. It's a quick throw down towards the back. This is Ian Stewart out to Gareth Rees. Roe Heinz in the lock forward to Stewart. Kicked through by John Leckie, number 12. And Canada pushing back up towards the Welsh line. This is John Leckie, the 27-year-old from the Merrilomas club. And he's back into the Canadian team this afternoon, playing at inside centre, number 12. So it's Alan Phillips. The wind is blustery from right to left as you look at it at home. Here's Phillips. Loose ball. It's a very deep in goal. Charging through was Bruce Breen. But it's a restart from the 22 as Bruce Breen, the flanker, tried to take advantage of the fact that it's very deep in goals here at Rugby Park in Invercargill. Four minutes gone, first half. We've already had a converted try and a penalty. And here's Gareth Roberts. That's the man who began the try, Adrian Hadley. And Duncan Robertson, looks like we're going to have a pretty lively game here today.
Well, it looks that way. Wales certainly looked as though they're in mean business.
Pitched down by Carl Svoboda. That's taken in by the Canadians. Number 8, Glenn Ennis. Ian Stewart, away to Gareth Rees. Now, this is the tactic that Canada use early on to such good effect. A big high ball, and that's underneath it. And he's claimed a fair catch inside the 22.
That's a good take into the wind there, Keith.
Yes, that was a good take by Adrian Hadley. This is his 19th international today for Hadley. He's just 24 years of age, and so he has been a very useful member of the Welsh 15 in recent seasons. And this is, of course, common sense prevailing. Let the players put their boots on. Southlands rugby people supporting this game very well this afternoon. So there's the clearance to touch. We'll have a look at some of the numbers in the lineouts here as we look along the lines this time. Number 7 for Canada is Rob Frame. Remember, he scored the opening try against Tonga. Number 5 is Hans de Goody, the former Cardiff player. That's him to the right. The 4 is Roe Heinsohn, but Wales have it. Jonathan Davis. That's Devereaux, John Devereaux. Canada getting there pretty well. Now it's a defensive scrum position for Wales in midfield. Now Dave Bishop is going to be consistent. He won't tolerate any collapses.
I want your arm up straight, dragging down. Okay, get it up.
Giles waiting. Number 8 forward is Phil Davis. Jonathan Davis, that's not a good one. Finds the line. So this is 25-year-old Carl Svoboda, number 2. Line-out ball may be a problem for Canada. Giles kicks from behind his 22.
As that wind is actually getting stronger, Keith. Both those kicks have actually bent back quite a bit.
You notice that the Welsh team have 2 middle of the line-out jumpers, Sutton and Norster, so they play one right down the back, and they play the number 8 forward, Phil Davis, up at the front. We'll have a look at that line-out formation, see if they do it on the Canadian side. Look at that ball blow away in the wind. It's much more severe down there than I think Jonathan Davis and the rest of us are picking.
Yes, I think it is.
Not down on the line by me, no advantage.
I think, Keith, we could see a bit of blindside play from Jonathan Davies from here on in.
Come on, Bill.
So Phil Davis and Ray Giles. Jonathan Davis, well, he's having a go on the open side. Look at that! Scything right through. That's halfway. Further out to Devereaux. 13 Devereaux. The big high ball for Moriarty. Out to Hatley on the left wing. Phil Davis. Wow, look at that. Just when it looked like they'd have to play the blind because of the strength of the wind, that was a magnificent break by Jonathan Davis right through the centre of the field.
Electrifying run.
Look at this, he just burst off the mark like a sprinter out of the blocks, and that was a brilliant 40-metre burst of speed. Further out it went to Devereaux, who made a good half-volley pickup. It started to sort of go a bit ragged here, but then Moriarty did the right thing by trying to clear it away from the crowded areas. Hadley down the left wing. Phil Davis, the number 8, was on the touchline, and he carried it on, and that could have been a try made by the beginnings coming from that run by Davis. There's an injury to one of the Canadian players. That's Breen, Bruce Breen, number 6. So Canada are struggling in the midfield at the moment, having let through one try in the first moments of play. That's Norster, number 5. And they're getting a bit tough on one of the Canadians there, so it's a penalty against the Welsh team. I think it was Norster, the man with the beard there, number 4. That's Steve Sutton. There's Rob Norster, number 5. Now Norster and De Goody for Canada, they locked the scrum for Cardiff against the Grand Slam All Blacks back in 1978. So Hans De Goody used to play with them, and this is Pat Palmer. There it is, converted try to a penalty. All New Zealand team of referee and touch judges today. Tom Ducey in the background there. Blue in the wind, it's really blowing down there now. Sunny day, softish going underfoot. And this into the wind will be a very, very long kick for Thorburn. It'll be interesting to see whether he has a crack at this one.
I think you play for position here, won't you, Keith? It's a good kick into that wind too.
So another injured player, and it's Paul Moriarty. Oh. A couple of Welsh players being attended to here. Phil Davis and Moriarty. That's Jonathan Davis to the left. No relation, but then that's a common enough name in Wales. Davis, Evans, Jones, of course. In fact, I read the other day where Robert Jones, when he came into the Welsh team, he's the little halfback who's not playing today, was the 57th player by the name of Jones to play for Wales. I think the Rugby World Cup really appeals to the smaller cities of New Zealand. Another very good crowd for this match today.
Yes, there are. It's good to see Southland people out here in their numbers that they are, Keith. I think it's been the same all over New Zealand, hasn't it?
Svoboda throws to the tap by Ro Heinsohn, number 4. Ian Stewart back to Reese. And that's a good save by the teenager. Now, you recall I mentioned that the Canada youth team won that match against the Wales youth team. This was the man who captained Canada youth that day in September, Gareth Reese. Phillips to throw, number 7 for Wales. That's Gareth Roberts. Number 8 is Phil Davis. Norster locking the scrum with Sutton. Number 9 is Ray Giles. The 12 is Darren Bowen.
It's another big kick. Certainly doing it right with this wind behind them. Has kicked the ball down the other end. The worry at the moment is these Welsh backs. They're in the mood to run it, I think, Keith.
.14 minutes gone, first half. Wales leading by 6-3. Look at Breen get out after Davis, but that's a hard job. Davis coming across the field, finds Thorburn as extra man. Low and flat into the wind. This is the covering winger, Pat Palmer, and that's out over the touchline. Right across from the right wing, Pat Palmer. So there are the Canadian reserves and non-playing team members. Phillips, number 2 for Wales. Wales in the green. Big jump by Norster. This is Stewart. Reese let that one go out to Leckie. And that's a good kick with the wind again, but it looked a bit half-pace in the backs. John Leckie's kick.
He said, I think they're going to have to do more than just kick the ball away, Keith, when they get it. They've got to put points on the board. The kick's got to be a lot deeper down into the corners, the wind behind them.
Comments today coming from 1974 to 77 All Black, Duncan Robertson. That's number 1, Jeff Whitefoot digging deep. It's cleared to Giles, to Jonathan Davis. And Breen got him in a body check, but it's all ruled fair. This is Pat Palmer. High ball, that's using the wind. Davis, good catch. Had a look. Wasn't really a very good delivery, was it? That's Tommy Woods, number 13, down there. This is Ian Stewart. Leckie. Breen out there, the flanker in the midfield, but they lost it to the Welsh. Oh, it's all a bit untidy at the moment. Welsh supporters in the stand come this far south. Tell me there's a great moment in the one of the hotels here last night with Welsh supporters looking forward to and getting the chance to meet Brian McKechnie. Jonathan Davis staying behind the 22. And here is the craggy features of Derek Quinnell, the assistant coach of the Welsh 15, looking out across and into the sun. Number 6 for Wales is Paul Moriarty. Yes, apparently it was a great chance for Welsh people to meet Brian McKechnie, who they remember, who kicked the penalty goal in the last moments to enable the All Blacks to win at Cardiff in 1978, a most famous match or an infamous match, whichever side you're looking at it from, when New Zealand beat Wales by 13-12. Phil Davis. Giles, 10-metre mark, Canada territory. Lovely pickup by Davis. Nice nudge through. That's Devereaux, number 13, and 13 for Canada is Tommy Woods. Canada's fullback today, Mark Wyatt, is the same name of the Welsh fullback for all their internationals this year in the home nations, but didn't make the World Cup team. Lineouts in the wind are being shared. Clean lineouts to each team, 5 each. Well snaffled up by Glenn Ennis, the Canadian number 8 there. That's Reese's kick. So Duncan Robertson, looks like Canada not prepared to let the ball run along the chain. Perhaps they haven't got the confidence, or just going to use the wind to push it up by using the feet.
Yes, Keith, I feel he's got to kick a lot deeper than he is with the wind behind him. To kick it out there and give Wales the put in, I don't really see the point in it at this stage of the game.
That's Steve Sutton with the blue headband. That's him. Back to Giles on near halfway. Davis, Bowen, Devereaux. Canada's defence looks pretty good. They had that early lapse and let winger Yayan Evans in for the try. And they let Jonathan Davis make that long run. This is Blethen Bowen, who's the inside centre today. Just near halfway. Look at that for a good kick by Jonathan Davis into the wind. Mark Wyatt. Well, it's a kicking game in the last few minutes between Wales and Canada. There's a familiar figure, Clive Rowlands, former Welsh captain. Manager of the Welsh team is Clive Rowlands. Norster going high. Giles, Davis, Devereaux. Bowen was left out. Devereaux through. Palmer and Moriarty going for it. Oh, nicely played with a foot by Palmer. And again by Palmer. As Hadley came through on him. There is an injured player now halfway, and it's John Devereaux. And he is a young man who's had a lot of problems with injuries. This is the shoulder injury. He's had a lot of problems with his hamstring muscles over the years. John Devereaux, a very fine sportsman as a young man. He's won international caps for Wales as a schoolboy soccer international as well. But his rugby career punctuated by a lot of injuries, as with Blethen Bowen, who's out here in the centre as well. And it's great to see them back in action. "20 minutes gone, first half. Wales in the green, leading by 6-3. Giles. This is winger Hadley. They must make those first tackles, the Canadians. They'll be in trouble if they don't. It's Canada desperately trying to stop the Welsh backs get in action. Ennis off to Stewart. Frame is with him. Good run by Ian Stewart. Just the fullback ahead. Winger, that's fullback Wyatt. 7 is Frame. 7 for Wales is Gareth Roberts.
Good play by halfback.
Good run by Ian Stewart, the halfback. He's a man who's played at centre for Canada, and he looked like a centre, scything through there near halfway.
Showed a lot of pace then, Keith. I feel this is what they've got to do a lot more of, Keith. They've got to get up that blind side and take it to Wales. There's no good kicking the ball away in this with this wind behind them.
Giles. Instructions obviously for Giles not to kick. He got it out to Davis. See, Davis got away again. Long ball to Evans. It bounced off his shoulder. Steve Gray, the Canadian winger, got wrapped up well and truly that time. But another dangerous run by Davis. Injury break, and the man hurt is Gareth Roberts. Jonathan Davis in there. He certainly does look very dangerous when he has the chance for a break. Look at this one again. Giles obviously under instructions, get the ball to me, boyo, something like that. And number 10, Davis, the jink, and then the acceleration through the gap and away he goes. He tried the long ball, but it bounced off Evans' shoulder. And then it was Steve Gray of Canada. And this move ends with a bit of a niggle. And altogether, very fiery little ruck in here. Gareth Roberts is the injured player. He's one of the Cardiff players, a chemist, in fact, from that place. Another man who was an outstanding schoolboy, star of schoolboy rugby, set the record for Welsh schoolboy caps. Had 19 caps for his country before he left school.
Ready now!
Stewart. Hands to Goody as captain right there. That's Rob Frayne, number 7. Good work by Breen. Stewart again, he's having a good game, pushing forward by hand. This is Breen, Bruce Breen. And it's a penalty for Canada. Ian Stewart seems to be the dangerous man near the scrum for Canada. And it's going to be number 10, Gareth Rees, lining up a shot at goal.
He's having an excellent game, isn't he? These little dabs around the side are putting a lot of pressure on the Welsh side.
Here's how Gareth Rees sees it. Not exactly struck perfectly, but good enough. The Canadian flag flying again. That's 6-all after 25 minutes play.
Penalty for Canada, set by number 10, Gareth Rees.
So in the first 25 minutes of the match, Wales have not yet received a penalty. Referee Bishop has only awarded 3 in the first 25 minutes, and all of them have gone to Canada. All square again at 6-all after 25 minutes. Remember, Canada have to win. So it looks like they've decided not to worry too much about scoring tries. That's a bit of a generalisation. Wales, on the other hand, look as though they'd like to score heaps. Giles, Blethen-Bowen. That's the 22-metre line there. This is Canada There's number 1 hooker, Carl Svoboda. Deflected by the veteran Ro Heinsohn.
Right shoulders. Right shoulders. Right shoulders. Thank you.
Knock on by Gareth Roberts off the side of the scrum. There's Alan Phillips, who played against the All Blacks in the Centenary Test match, and Mark Hickory back in 1980, in that very famous match. Ian Stewart. Paul Thorburn. A big one from Thorburn into the wind. It's holding up for him. Penalty for the Welsh forwards. Okay, scrum up field, says De Goody.
Surprises me, Keith, how many international players don't read the 10-metre rule or don't realise they're in the circle.
Yes, you're right there, Duncan. Ian Stewart, Glenn Ennis. Oh, that wasn't such a good combination, was it? This is Rob Frame. Giles. Davis. Bowen left out. Devereaux. Left behind by Yayan Evans. That's Mark Wyatt. Ro Heinsohn, the veteran. Pat Palmer, who's right across from the right wing. Svoboda at the 22. Stewart again. Not much of a line out. Ennis, the number 8 forward, putting his hands ahead. Lovely work by Tommy Woods. Canada getting close. Giles made the intercept.
Excellent play, Keith, all round from the Canadian players. Forwards and backs combining brilliantly there.
It was a fine move by the Canadian team. They really put it on the Welsh, and then the Welsh infringed close to the line. Jonathan Davis has gone in to ask the question why. He's entitled to do that, of course. And it's the other number 10, Gareth Rees, who'll have the penalties. 5 penalties to 0 now. The referee at the moment is seeing Canada is playing something like a perfect game. He hasn't penalised the Canadian 15 as yet. Look at that again. This was the fullback. Now look at Ro Heinsohn. He's a great big man, but he's a 7-a-side specialist. He's played 8 years in a row at the Hong Kong Sevens, and what a good pass that was. And then it was Pat Palmer, who was right across on the opposite wing. Then Carl Svoboda, the hooker, took it down nicely at the 22. The forwards went over the top. Stewart was away. Ennis, here he pushes his hand ahead of the tackle nicely to make sure he can free the pass. Then a good run here by Tommy Woods, and he really looked like he might go in. Paul Moriarty hung on, and then the Welsh infringed in here. So this is number 13, Tommy Woods from the James Bay Athletic Association Club, a teammate of Hans de Goody. That was a strong one. He's played his other games in the World Cup on the wing. They've shifted him in closer today, and what a good run that was. Injury, and this is Raymond Giles, I think, who's taken a blow. Giles, who only got in the Welsh team for this tournament because the reserve halfback Jonathan Griffiths was selected to come but pulled out. So a lucky break there for Giles. He played for Wales against Australia in 1983, but after that they didn't want him again. He's had a couple of matches on the reserve bench, but he's back in today, and no doubt the young man from Aberravan will be delighted. 26 years of age, and the members of the New Zealand Maori team will remember playing against him at Aberraban on that tour back in '82. So he looked like he got rucked in that last play. The wind is coming at a slight angle across the field for Gareth Rees. Canada in the lead. And their fans are delighted. Gareth Rees has the flag flying proudly again, 9-6 in the lead.
Penalty was again Gareth Rees.
Nobody in the Welsh side at the moment, Keith, seems to want to tackle. It's the ongoing thing from their previous game. They just don't want to tackle.
Thorburn. Canada with everything to play for. They said before this game today that their greatest day had been against Tonga. And then their second greatest day was, that was superseded by their play against Ireland until they lost out. Now they're hoping for a repeat today. But look at this from Wales. Canada hoping that once again they can turn on a cracker performance today. They're playing well, haven't scored a try. They lead by 9-6. Ian Stewart. Forward pass. Wales ball. It's about 5 metres out, this one. It's very close. So will the Welsh try it in their backs again? Bit of wizardry from the newest Welsh wizard, Jonathan Davis, perhaps. Phil Davis. Giles. Paul Moriarty lost it forward. Well, Gareth Rees was playing with fire, letting it sort of bounce on his shins and then skipping away from it. But it was clearly knocked forward by Paul Moriarty.
I think you'll have to show a bit more raffle than that, Keith.
In defence, Ian Stewart.
Down. Reset back.
Referee Bishop going across to the other side. It used to be that referees never went across that side. They're doing it a lot more in the World Cup here in '87.
Oh boy. Oh boy, yeah.
Wheeled away by the Canadian team. This is a good game so far. Lots to play for. Quarterfinals coming up. Lots of excitement still to come in the World Cup. Well, look at that from Gareth Rees, the man who never runs or kicks. Surely he's got it now to Palmer. This is Ian Evans. 2 number 14s. Evans across on the wrong wing. Great tackle by Rob Frame. Another great tackle by Breen. And Breen gives Wales their first penalty after 36 minutes. Jonathan Davis is the fly half with a reputation for running. At that time we saw a lovely little feint and run by Gareth Rees and enabled this man, Pat Palmer, to run it out. Now the referee says that was touched by Palmer. I think that was a mistake there by Mark Wyatt. I think they thought that the referee might not have thought that they'd touched the ball and taken it back.
Yes, I'm pretty sure he touched that one.
So there's an injury right up at halfway. This is Moriarty. Let's look again at Pat Palmer. Well, on second look, perhaps he didn't touch it, but the referee Bishop ruled that he did.
Wake up, referee!
You can hear that advice from the crowd. Wake up, referee. I don't think there'll be too much criticism of Dave Bishop today. This is his home crowd. Neutral referee. Running time in the first half is actually 7 minutes to go as Wales are on hot attack. They're trying to push Canada, but the Canadians are holding. Giles. Davis. Breen wraps him up. Moriarty. Mark Wyatt, number 15, with the ball. Here's the man who was penalised, Paul Moriarty. He's missed his touch. Adrian Hadley.
Still a very useful kick.
So for that, Canada will get the throw in. They're dropping men out of the line-out. 4 and 5, De Goody and Heinsohn, the veteran locks, have been locking Canadian scrums for 13 years now. Trying to crash it again is Breen. Ian Stewart. Savovoda was out to his right. De Goody lost it forward. This is Jonathan Davis. Wyatt. Nice play by Mike Wyatt. Very close to the touchline, played it down the line and made some good ground. So that's Randy McKellar at the front, the specialist loose head prop. Behind him, Hans De Goody. Jumping against Steve Sutton from the South Wales Police. Norster's back jumping against Heinsohn. This is Gareth Roberts. Oh, a high tackle by Stewart. Danger now. Steve Sutton, the big policeman. Good tackle by his opposite number, Heinsohn. He's having a great game, Roe Heinsohn. There's Roe Heinsohn, number 4. Now, this is the man who had his birthday at Napier, 36 years of age. And he's got big, long legs, loves to run, loves the 7-a-side game. What a tackle that was. Another penalty for Canada. Yayan Evans getting up speed. Stewart. Wyatt. The big wipers kick. That's a good one because Thorburn will probably have to kick it back. He was hoping it would go over the line, but it wasn't. And that one screwed off his left boot in the wind. Well, he came here with a big reputation, Paul Thorburn. Paul Thorburn has not really played to that reputation in the World Cup in New Zealand so far. 4 minutes till half-time. Pitch to Ennis at the back. This is Ian Stewart. Away to Rees. This is flanker Bruce Breen at the 22. Stewart, blind side. Leckie. Wyatt up from fullback. Pat Palmer, not much room. Svoboda with him. Carl Svoboda, the hooker. Stewart again. What lovely ball by the Canadians. The drop kick from Rees. Deflected off a man in the midfield. This is Devereaux. And that is a tremendous relief for Wales. That kick by John Devereaux. So drama back on the 22. There is an injured man, and here it is. Jonathan Davis. Now, what's that great quote from Barry John? When he came out to New Zealand, he said, when you're a fly half touring in New Zealand, you play with your passport in your back pocket. And Jonathan Davis taking a bump there and on the wrist. And I would say lumps in thousands of Welsh throats at the moment. Penalties and free kicks are favouring Canada by 7-1. Lineouts, clean ball. The Welsh and the Canadians splitting it at the moment, 10-9. Wales just one ahead. And Rees, 3 kicks out of 3. Canada leading by 9-6. And there's a little Welsh dragon with the leak. And that moment of anguish for Wales is over. Their captain is again shipshape. 10-metre mark, halfway just out of the picture to the left. Canada running out of time with the wind. They'll surely want some more points. Ian Stewart, who's made some good runs. Set up nicely. Breen over the top. Breen away to Glenn Ennis. Leckie. Yayan Evans, the man who scored the only try in the game so far, and he accidentally popped it out, so it's a Canadian ball in.
These Canadian boys are playing with a lot of fire right at the moment.
That's Steve Blackmore from Cardiff. 31-year-old, a shock selection in the Welsh team this year as the 3rd tight head prop that Wales used this year in the Five Nations Championship.
Ready, now!
So Ennis, who's played so well at number 8 for Canada in this World Cup. Phil Davis, his opposite number, at the 22. It's there for Canada. Stewart, Rees, Leckie left out. Tommy Woods, drop kick, charge down. Palmer. Palmer decides to form them all. Canada diving, Wales diving in over the top, and that's another penalty. So referee Bishop stacking them up against the Welsh team in the first half. And there is an injured player on the ground. Well, Duncan Robertson, what are you thinking now that 9-6 with the win, which seems to have moderated a bit, perhaps not enough points for Canada at the moment?
No, I don't think so. They'll need another try. 6 points. They're playing with a lot of fire. But I think Wales are just holding out till half-time till they get that breeze behind them. And I don't think they'll make the mistake that Canada's made. They'll be kicking deep inside the Canadian territory in the second half.
Gareth Roberts is the injured player. That was a tremendously urgent driving rush by Wales after the charge down of the drop kick attempt. And Roberts must have got clunked in there. I think the crowd is very definitely in favour of the Canadians, the underdogs, if you like. A very big day for Canada rugby. They say their greatest day ever. Canadians only started playing Test rugby in 1966. So time in the first half running out for Canada with the wind. Through goes Wyatt, the fullback. Lovely run by Steve Gray, carried on. Tommy Woods just 10 metres out. Beautifully for Stewart. He's wrapped up. Did he take the right option there? He should have perhaps flicked it on. Who's going to take this one? Gareth Rees. Leckie just short. What another tremendous surge by Team Canada. They are playing out of their trees at the moment. And this man, Johnny Leckie, very nearly scoring by the post. Canada, have they put their 10-man push in? I think they've put their 10-man scrum in. This is a feature of Canadian rugby. You see Palmer and the winger, Tommy Woods, the centre, Tommy Woods, joining for a 10-man scrum. Now, this is how they got some tries in their matches against the United States. Now, we've not seen it in the World Cup, but it's a speciality of Canadian rugby, the 10-man scrum. You see 13, Tommy Woods there, and Pat Palmer. They're going for the pushover with the Big 10. Remember, the penalty try count adds up in this World Cup. The Welsh scrum is, well, it's gone, isn't it? Well, Duncan Robertson, have you ever seen that before?
No, I haven't, Keith.
I don't think they have that up at Wakatipu, do they?
They do not.
Time is up in the first half, and it's the 10-man scrum again. Just 4 backs standing off. Canada going for the big one. There's a case here for a penalty try, I feel. There's got to be a case for a penalty try. That Welsh scrum is down.
Definitely.
They've got the scrum put in again. It's not a 5-metre scrum. It's right in under the upright. Right in under the H.
They can't drag it down for the 3rd time in a row.
This is amazing. The Canadians told me about the 10-man scrum and said, look out for it. And what a time to introduce it. Now, here they are again. This time they've got momentum. Can they get it? They need a try. They really do, right in the last minute. And the Canadians are very disappointed. And I think they might have a case for the penalty try there, but it looks as though the half-time whistle is gone. Yes, it has. A controversial series of scrums underneath the post, but half-time has been called here by referee Bishop. Canada 3 penalties to Wales' converted try, and Canada leads 9 points to 6 at the break.
Carlo and Billy, okay? Don't let it get a hold of you. Glennie, forget that stuff. All right, just keep working, keep plugging, keep sticking it to them. You've got a whole stand that wants nothing but to see you guys win. All them folks want nothing but you guys win. They want to send us to Australia. Come on, let's work on that.
Okay, fantastic words there again from Hans de Goede, the Canadian coach, and they're very excited in the Canadian camp, both on the field and off the field as well. There's the Canadian manager there. You see Denny Beach. Now, he is a very interesting man. As a 6-year-old boy playing in the rail yard, he lost an arm in a terrible accident. But Denny Beach went on to play international rugby with one arm. Toured Japan with British Columbia, played test matches against Japan, and was hailed in that country as a tremendous example to all the war amputees of Japan of just what you can do with your life after losing a limb. And Denny Beach, a great man, a great personality, and a very fine servant of Canadian rugby, and a great man as an example to amputees all over the world. We have got the prospects of a very fine second half. Canadian manager there, Denny Beach. Next to him at the moustache is Gary Johnston as the second half begins of this World Cup Pool 2 match, with Canada in the lead by 9 points to 6. And 40 minutes to play. If they can keep the lead, it'll be one of rugby's biggest upsets. But the Welsh team, they are certainly not out of it, and the wind favours the Greens of Wales in the second half. Paul Thorburn, that's the first sign that they're going to use the wind. Wyatt called out his Christian name but didn't get it. So Duncan Robertson, that high kick from Thorburn looks ominous.
Yes, it does, and I think these will be Welsh tactics in the second half, is put that ball deep down inside the 22 and play from there.
There is just a suggestion to me that the wind has dropped a little here at Invercargill. The Canadians will be pleased about that. Phil Davis off, Raymond Giles, Moriarty. Yayan Evans, who scored that try in the first half, taken out over there on the far side. And the Canadian loose men at the back. Rob Frame has now got a headband on. Glenn Ennis and Bruce Breen. They'll have to get out and tackle. Alan Phillips, the former British Lion player. That's Whitefoot. Nicely there for Giles. Roberts with him. Wrapped up by Canada, just short. Breen made his tackle. Here it comes again. That's Bill Hanson, number 3. So here is the first pressure of the second 40 minutes on Canada. They lead by 9-6. Scrum has gone down. Referee Bishop, the local man, has not blown a penalty from the collapses. We've had quite a few today, more than usual in Rugby World Cup matches. Giles. Again, going straight in for the setup. He's thrown back. Moriarty. Canada's tackling is secure at the moment. That's Roberts, number 7. He's got the weight with him. Goal line is right there. Giles. And it's free again for a try for Yayan Evans. He got one early in the first half. He gets a second. It was really consistent pressure stacking up on the Canadians' line. And here was number 12, Blethen Bowen, setting it up and simply passing to Yayan Evans, who scoots in for his second try.
Well, what can you say to this? This is just simple ABC of rugby. Halfback, centre, draws the man over in the corner.
Ball, Thorburn. And that is the bother that Canada have to face. The Welsh fans are pleased. Thorburn kicks the goal. And so Canada's half-time advantage is cut already. 12-9, Wales lead. So in the complicated world of adding up the tries scored, that's 2 for Wales today. Bowen made that kick into Canadian territory.
Leave it, leave it! Leave it, leave it!
And some short, sharp Anglo-Saxon words there to the ball boy to leave the ball alone. Obviously Wales thinking about a quick throw-in. That's Steve Sutton there, and behind him is Rob Norster. Bob Norster, one of the big leapers of world rugby, a very good line-out man. That's Jonathan Davis. Well taken by Wyatt. Thorburn waiting. Crunch by Gray, but he's nearly clear. Oh, well taken by Breen for Canada. And it's a penalty against the Welsh players again. Now, with the wind having dropped, this might be worthwhile. A penalty shot here. 9 penalties to 1 to Canada. Referee Bishop has given Canada 9 penalties. Wales only 1. I guess the Canadians might be a bit grumpy about the fact that he didn't award them that try under the post in the first half. But here's a chance for Gareth Rees. It's outside the 22. The wind is right into his face from that angle. The wind almost following the angle of the shadows as you look at it. Right across the front of the posts. 6 minutes gone, second half. And that's the first miss today for number 10, Gareth Rees. Okay, the Canadians with Blackmore. Now Hadley. And Glenn Ennis. Well, it's do or die now. Pressures will be on everybody in the ball game from now on. It's the Goody, Sutton, Big Row, Heinsohn, Bob Norster. Pitch down the back to a tap by Breen. Canada running it. Here's Wood. Gets away from Devereaux. At halfway. There's Heinsohn again. Coming for Stewart. Narrow side. Rees Woods. Thorburn is in there. So is Moriarty. A kick this time from Steve Gray. Injury away to the left. There is the man. It's Tommy Woods. This is the guy that's one of Canada's senior box lacrosse players, which is the national game of Canada. So Woods looking okay. You can see the little cut of hair above his ears there. That's the remnants of those Herschel haircuts they had up in Napier in tribute to their great hero Herschel Walker. And Herschel is the nickname of the halfback, Ian Stewart. Jonathan Davis. Lovely feet. Through and away, near halfway. Davis. He gave a pass that was disrupted. This is Adrian Hadley. Davis again. Phil Davis.
I feel Gareth Reese is not covering him. He's going up to him and he's just standing and watching him. He's got to line him up and barrel him.
That's the word, barrel him. Because if they don't, they're on the plane home too. So now Giles. Away to Jonathan Davis. He got away from Reese. And there's the try. The man who scored it has gone down.
Canadians are a bit wild.
It's Blethen Bowen who scored the try. And we might look in the replay at whether it was a forward pass from Jonathan Davis to Bowen. Let's look at the sidestep inside Gareth Reese. Look at the next pass. The referee seems to perhaps have his back turned. No, second thoughts, it looked good to me. Try scored by Blethen Bowen.
Here we go again. They win the ball. He steps inside him beautifully. Away he goes. Inside another one. There. I think the Canadians were appealing for a throwing forward over the line there, but no, fair try.
So Blethen Bowen's try is converted, and that's the straight situation that the Canadians have to face. They've got to start scoring points, and it's going to be very, very hard for them. Wales are looking ominous at 18-9. So 3 tries. Wales have scored to Canada's 0. Taken in by Steve Sutton from the kickoff. Ray Giles. Canada have not played well since the break. Wyatt. That was Sutton again, number 4. This is Bill Hanson. No, that's McKellar, the prop forward, number 1. Stewart. Still in Canadian possession. Here they go this time. Glenn Ennis, number 8. Reese. Tommy Woods. Steve Sutton. And let's see what the referee says. Knock on. Well, Canada trying to get their rhythm going, Duncan. They've just lost it a bit since half-time.
Yes, they have. They've got to run the ball now. They've got to run it at every opportunity.
This looks like Ian Stewart, the halfback. And
You want to bring me back
that's a real boxer's cut, that one.
Hirsch, she's too big. Jonathan. Hirsch, she's too big. All right?
Yes, that's common sense from Hans de Goede. You heard him talking at Hirsch. His nickname is Herschel. And they said, Hirsch, it's too big. So good common sense. The cut, you saw, it was about an inch long above the eye, much like a boxer's cut. And so Hans de Goede coming back, showing good common sense there. He's saying the cut is too big. You can't play on with a cut like that. And they want to bring their substitute on. So that's a big disappointment for Ian Stewart. We'll see what he has to say about it. And that is a bad cut. And so Ian Stewart, I don't think he will be allowed to stay on. And that's a sad sight for Canada.
Well, he's your hand off.
And here's a big thrill for David Tucker coming onto the field, because he's a Welshman too. David Tucker, born in Llanelli, which is right in the heart of Welsh-speaking country. The big, tall scrum half comes on as a replacement, playing against the country of his birth. You can see how big Tucker is, up to nearly 6 feet tall. And a sad sight. He has played outstandingly well today and in this series. Ian Stewart, the Canadian halfback, leaves the field. So let's see how his replacement Tucker goes. Meantime, Ennis has the ball. Pushing on is de Goede, the man himself. That's the goal line just ahead. Ro Heinsohn! Down he goes. What's the referee say? The referee has declined the try for Ro Heinsohn. Well, the Welshman must have got hands under it.
Wake up, referee!
And there's that call from the stand again. Wake up, referee, with a Canadian accent. Heinsohn, who's the veteran of the Canadian team and one of the real old-timers of this Rugby World Cup, crashing through over the line, but the referee said no try. Big scrum this time from Wales. Canada need to score a try. They need to get back into the game real quick. They've lost that one. Giles. Bowen. Devereux closing quickly on Wyatt. So that was bad luck indeed for Canada. They look disappointed. They've got to get their act together quickly. It's a quick throw in taken by Davis. Wales are trying to keep the Reds rattled. Roberts.
Help, fellas! In 5! Green responsible for the stoppage, red scrummage. In 5. Red scrummage, green responsible for the stoppage. Come back.
Injury break there to Alan Phillips. Let's have a look now at that incident which involved Ro Heinsohn. End on, he was in the middle of this, charging for the line. Let's see if we can see how referee Bishop arrived at his decision. Here he comes. Well, we're looking at the same angle here as the referee, Duncan Robertson. I think he probably had to make that decision about no try.
Oh, I think he was quite right there. I don't think he probably made the line.
Yep. That's one of the replays that has assisted referees. It's very hard for them. Of course, they've got to make these decisions without the aid of replays and slow motion, etc., stop action. So that looked like a fair call by referee Bishop. Tucker, the replacement, to Reese, to Woods, to Wyatt. Towed ahead by Gray. Oh, he shouldn't try to play it with his hands. Not when it was spinning like that. Davis, look how much time he has. Hadley. Beautifully kicked in by Bowen, to Sutton, to Moriarty, out to Devereux, and Devereux's in for the try. That's Canada's fourth try they've conceded, and that means big, big trouble for Team Canada. Wales are delighted. They're in the lead now by 22-9. and John Devereux is in for the try. And look at this, there was concerted pressure out from Phil Davis to Devereux, and just by the 22 he set sail for the corner, and the Canadian defence was not at home. Again, good work by Sutton and Moriarty, the forwards. Cleared to Davis, who's also one of the loose men, and then it was just an angled sprint to the corner for John Devereux.
Yeah, that's an excellent try. It stayed way back inside their own half. They carried it on, centre kick. Very, very good skills.
The try for Wales was scored by number 13, John Devereux.
This is John Devereux, the man they call Dalek. That's his nickname because of the very piston-like fend he's got. Resembles one of the characters out of Doctor Who, the Daleks. And a try there to Dalek. Not converted, 22-9. Reese, Breen, Canada seemingly out of it at the moment. De Goody, he'll keep trying, hands to Goody. Tucker, pushing White forward again. So many of the Canadian moves have promise, but they've not been able to score yet.
I think this has happened a lot on these sides, Canada, Tonga. They've got all the skills there, but right at the final fling, they just can't put it all together.
The pack leader, Alan Phillips. 4 tries to 0. Wales leading. They've overtaken the number of tries that Canada has scored. Which means that even if Canada wins the match by kicks, Wales will win the pool. Breen.
Another 13, another 10 man.
Yes, they've got the 10 manner in again. You see the backs coming out again into their positions. The 10-man scrum actually originated in Hans de Goody's club at James Bay, one of the very top club combinations in British Columbia and Canadian rugby. So Jonathan Davis has pushed them up outside the 22-metre line. 4 tries to 0. Canada down by 9-22. They desperately need to score a try to open their chance of getting through to the quarterfinals. You know, they still have a slim chance if they lose the match because Tonga, if they upset Ireland, Canada have scored more tries than Ireland. So Canada aren't exactly out of it until that final whistle blows at Brisbane this afternoon. Phil Davis, Giles, Tucker's back covering. There is David Tucker, big man, over 6 feet tall, and a Welshman by birth. You can see he's got the look, the short crop hairdo. Looks like he could have come out of the factory that they talk about, the fly half factory. Good jump by Norster, taken in by Whitefoot, Giles, Davis. Number 14, Yayan Evans, who scored 2 tries coming through. Now Breen, nice little back flip to Woods, but it's lost. Tucker is number 17 on the deck. Heinsohn, Reese, Leckie, Palmer. Claimed by Gareth Roberts. Nicely out to Jonathan Davis. He can slow the game down at will. Thorburn, his clubmate at Neath, deflected by Gareth Reese. And Adrian Hadley, number 11, takes it out. Injured players Gareth Roberts. I understand we've just received a phone call at our studio in Avalon from one of the our viewers who's telling us that the Kiwis, after the Second World War, the New Zealand Expeditionary Force team used to use the 10-man scrum as well. Well, that is interesting. We could say it came from New Zealand, but it's certainly a tactic that the Canadians have used in recent years. John Devereux is also receiving attention. Man who scored the try. He's 21 years of age. He and Bowen have operated pretty efficiently in the Welsh centres today, back after injury problems. A nice little conversation between the hookers and touch judge Keith Lawrence. Duncan Robertson with 18 minutes left to play, 4 tries to nil, 22-9 to Wales. A wee bit of the fizz has gone off things, hasn't it?
It's actually gone dead. I feel that Canada are running the ball, but they've got to secure it at the end of it. Just the final pass is going amiss, and Wales are counter-attacking from it. They're just holding off and waiting.
Glenn Ennis pitching forward. He's got Big Bill Heinsohn with him, Big Bill Hansen. There's a Hansen and a Heinsohn in that Canadian pack. Yayan Evans, Giles, Jonathan Davis always staying just that distance from Giles for the pass. Now, what can the great man build here? That's Bowen. That's Steve Sutton. Nicely taken in by Ennis, I think. Penalty count is still 10 penalties to Canada and just 1 to Wales in the match.
I hate to say it, Keith, but there's a great lack of loose forwards to all this breakdown and play. But I could think could be said for both sides.
Devereux. And here comes 3 tries today for Yayan Evans. So Wales are starting to put it together, and that's the 3rd try for Yayan Evans. Jonathan Davis, Bowen, crash ball from Devereux. He's a big, strong lad, and he gets through some tackles, taken down by Frame, but then it was Evans comfortably in for his 3rd try. Thorburn converts. The score is starting to mount very ominously for Canada, 28 points to 9. Let's look at it again and look for the Canadian defence. Duncan Robertson just made the comment about the loose forwards not getting really across at great speed. And there was Frame getting there, but really too late to stop the charge through the centre. So the midfield defence was slack as well. A try for Evans. So Canadian rugby hanging a bit in the wind at the moment after trying so very hard in the first 40 minutes to stake a claim on the quarterfinals. They're rather being played out of it here by Wales, who scored 4 tries in the second half and have stamped their authority, guided by their new captain, Jonathan Davis.
I feel the Canadian forwards have played very, very well. I just think their midfield hasn't helped them a lot.
And You're questioning the speed of the loose ball by both teams, Duncan.
Yes. They're getting there in ones, but you know, we're not seeing the 2 and 3 of them there helping each other.
Green ball, green advancing forward. Get up, guys, get up. Hold it, the ball's the other side.
Giles. See how they go in midfield this time. Oh, look at the gaps there. It could be 4 for Evans, but this time it's Hadley. And in goes Adrian Hadley on the left wing. Adrian Hadley gets the try. Look at it again. Gaps in midfield. They just had a little loop-the-loop. And it was Blethen Bowen who was through. Cut-out pass. Left Jonathan Davis out of it. Thorburn to Hadley. And he scoots along for the try. Look at it again. Just a little threesome here. Getting together. Nice combination. Jonathan Davis was even doubling around for support. Thorburn in from fullback. And Adrian Hadley comfortably in at the corner. That's his 6th try for Wales. Paul Thorburn, who doesn't really like the angles. He likes the big straight kicks upfield, but he's had only angles in New Zealand.
A try for Wales, scored by number 11, Adrian Hadley.
Let's look at that again from isolated camera down low. It was a little sleight of hand. Blethen Bowen through. Jonathan Davis staying in support. Look at the way the heads are moving, looking to see where the defence is. But he only had one intent, the winger straight in at the corner. The match restarts. The kick missed from the try by Hadley. And the score is now 32 points to 9. Wales against Canada.
Face the ball, set. Face the ball, come on. Numbers! 17, 42, 53. Come on, roll.
Hands to Goody, talking with his great locking partner, Ro Heinsohn. The said two have been playing together for 13 years. Look at Tucker go. David Tucker. In field to Green. Ennis and Giles. Again, really just a little squaring off between the players. This has been an amazing series of rugby matches. We've had 20 games of rugby in the World Cup. I've hardly seen a scrap in any of them. And that means that everyone must take credit. 20 thrilling games of rugby, and there's still a lot of excitement to come in the World Cup. And there have been nearly 1,100 points scored in the World Cup in the last 12 days. Fantastic orgy of point scoring. Towed ahead by Giles. That's Steve Gray. This is Mark Wyatt. Just harking back to that points situation, before this game started, there had been 1,069 points scored in 20 games, and that's an average of 53 points per game. So they're well on the way to matching that average today at 41 points scored so far. And when you think of the old days, and our viewers from the 45, 46 Kiwis will remember that in those days, there were a number of games used to be played and won by 6-3 and 3-0 and 5-3 and so on. But it seems in the World Cup in '87, admittedly helped by some varying standards in play between the competing teams, there are points galore. Now this will be a bit of a worry for the Welsh. Number 12, Blethen Bowen, he's had hamstring problems, and they'll be looking anxiously for him. He's played a good part in the team today. He also had a terrible problem with his hips early on, had to have operated calcified hips, and so Blethen Bowen's had his moments with injuries over the years, but he seems to be okay now. Now I'm afraid he's changed his mind, and Blethenbone has decided to call it quits for a day. Derek Quinnell checking him going in. "13 minutes left. Rugby Park in Invercargill has the World Cup action in New Zealand today, and spirited first 40 minutes by Canada saw them lead 9-6 at halftime. But the subtleties and power of the Welsh in the second half have seen them played right out of the game. But they're still trying. Steve Gray, the winger from the left.
I feel that between the two forwards packs there hasn't been too much difference. The line-out count's pretty much the same. I don't think we've had a tight head yet.
Okay, referee Bishops penalised the Welsh pack. Kevin Hopkins, the replacement, waiting to come on. Canada trying again, but you see the Welsh are pretty hard to get through now. And here is Kevin Hopkins, itching to get on for another international.
Number 16, Kevin Hopkins, is replacing number 12, Lennon Bowe for Wales.
So Ennis to Tucker. That's Breen. That's Frame. So all three Canadian loose men have handled here. At halfway, Reese. Tommy Woods. Woods has looked consistently the best of the Canadian backs. Had a couple of good runs in the first half. Taken away now by De Goody. Into Svoboda. Canada trying to make a stake in this game. Tucker. Reese. The bomb. He had men out to his left. Thorburn waits with Devereaux. Thorburn. And Yayan Evans makes the clearance. Well, Duncan Robertson. There were men out to his left. Did he do the right thing, Gareth Reese?
No, he's not. I think they've got to keep the ball in hand and keep running at them and back up and run at them and back up. I don't think they're going to get anywhere by kicking the ball away, especially when Wales have this wind behind them. They just get it and kick it back down the other end.
Carl Svoboda. Canadian front row, remember, all from Ontario, which is unusual. The high percentage of Canadian teams, of course, all from British Columbia, Vancouver or Vancouver Island. Okay, here's Heinsohn. Tucker. Reese, good hands. Leckie. Woods. Oh, Jonathan Davis didn't want to know about the tackle. Can he make one more pass? De Goody's got it. Oh, Thorburn kicked the ball. He seemed to be offside. Mark Wyatt at halfway. And that's another example of what Duncan Robertson has mentioned today, the failure of the Canadian team to finish off promising movements. One more pass was needed there, and the try could have been on.
Just no one backing up at all. Somebody should have been tearing onto that pass, and they'll run under the sticks.
He certainly looked a wee bit gun-shy there, Jonathan Davis. Tap ball for Giles. Davis with the big slide ruler across field, and that's pushed Canada right back 70 metres away from the scoring chance that they had just seconds ago. Gareth Reese is down, 10 minutes left to play. Moriarty is going to leave the field, I think. Doesn't look in too much bother. Game is in the bag for Wales at the moment. This is his 12th international in a row, and the Canadian flag just a wee bit forlornly flying at the moment, and for Moriarty leaving the field. And I wonder how often this has happened in international rugby. A brother replacing a brother. You have to get clearance from the doctor first. It's happened before in international rugby that brothers have replaced each other in the field. I remember it happening with Gordon and Peter Brown in a Five Nations match for Scotland about 10 years ago. So Tucker to hands to Goody. They're still trying, the Canadians, into the setup. Tucker. Leckie. That was Reese. Heinsohn in. Ennis. Tucker. Reese again. They're going to keep it in hand. Leckie. Canada and over the top. Tucker nudging it forward this time. That's Hadley back a little slow, but safely across the touchline. Canada will want to try and score a try. In case that quarter-final with Ireland, the Irish don't score too many tries, so that's why they're trying so hard. So there's a lot for Canada still to go for in the match. Big clearance by Jonathan Davis. Got great skills, Duncan.
Yes, he's got excellent skills, and that was a big kick, but it's hard. You just saw him, Giles put it out to him, and away it went.
So here is the Welsh World Cup captain, Richard Moriarty, coming on the field. I suppose he'll kind of take over the leadership. Jonathan Davis has been the leader on the field today. So a brother replaces a brother. 8 minutes left in the game. Canada, with 8 tries in their World Cup matches up till today, will desperately want to get one more than one, obviously, to try and make things difficult for Ireland in their match against Tonga across in Brisbane this afternoon. In case Tonga cause an upset and beat Ireland, Canada may have more tries. At the moment, Canada have 8, Ireland 6. That's amazing statistic also, Duncan, that Canada have only infringed once in the referee's mind in penalties in this match.
Yes, it's very, very good discipline.
At halfway, Giles, Jonathan Davis, Devereaux. That's Bruce Breen, number 6. Giles. Hadley. Hadley and Palmer.
And the Welsh team, number 6, Paul Moriarty, replaced by number 21, brother Richard Moriarty. Wearing jersey 21.
Second meter green. Back green. Thank you.
Giles. Phil Davis. Moriarty. Ennis gets Giles. Sorry, that was Svoboda, the hooker. Davis tends to run across field a bit in some situations. Let's see what Canada can make about this. At halfway, they're still trying hard to get a try. Tucker. Palmer, the winger. Davis. Out to Yayan Evans. Speeded halfway. Caught by Tucker. Sorry, that was Tommy Woods who made the tackle. Fast throw in. Norster and Jonathan Davis. And Tommy Woods it was who made the stop of the Welsh team just when they were looking rampant again, and the winger Yayan Evans was looking pretty dangerous. Another injury break.
Isn't it good to see Wales counter-attacking again?
Five and a half minutes left to go. The game is comfortably in the bag for the green team, Wales, wearing green for the second time. But Canada trying to get a try to add to their total. Tries could count if there's an upset later this afternoon in Brisbane.
Note in the Canadian team, number 18 is the back of the scrum, James Green, and 17, Cesar Tom Wood.
Well, I wonder if number 4, Ro Heinsohn, is thinking back to 1973 when Canada played Wales, and Canada led at half-time by 16-13, and Wales raced away in the second half there. That was Heinsohn's debut 14 years ago. Wales won that first international between these two countries in 1973 by 58-20. They went crazy in the second half. They haven't done quite that well today, but it's been a match of similar pattern. Here is Steve Sutton. Look at him go. Steve Sutton carrying on. He was very nearly in for the best individual try for a forward in the tournament, but they've conceded another penalty. 13 penalties to 1 is the count against Wales in the match. So Canada taking time to draw breath here. They look a pretty dejected side at the moment. Wyatt plays it to himself and then onto the right foot. Hasn't found the line. Jonathan Davis. Caught by Leckie. Moriarty. Giles. Yayan Evans. But it's going to be Alan Phillips who celebrates getting back into the Welsh team after 5 long years out of it with a try to really confirm the Welsh superiority this afternoon. Look at it again. Jonathan Davis jinking through, and then it goes to the right. Moriarty, the tour captain, to Giles, and then Yayan Evans looked like he might go in for 4 tries, and that would have been something of a record. But instead, Alan Phillips, the hooker, who's been out of the Welsh team all those years, gets back in and scores a try. He's a bit of a try-scoring specialist, Alan Phillips. He's scored over 150 tries in his career for Cardiff as a hooker, and that's how he's done it.
Yes, they're starting to combine backs and forwards now, but I think the Canadians are totally gone. They're out the back door now.
Thorburn has not had a good day. He's kicked 4 from 7, missed a few. But it's a comfortable lead by 36 points to 9. And there is Alan Phillips. He'll be very pleased in that. The 31-year-old hasn't played for Wales since early in 1982. They've had Spiky Watkins and Kevin Phillips since then. Also Billy James. But they've never come back to Alan Phillips. Maybe they might now, the pack leader today. So the Welsh supporters here at Invercargill are happy. Phillips' try was not converted. 2 minutes to play, 36-9. Canada looking a dejected team in the second half, Duncan Robertson.
Yes, they are. I don't know whether they're not fit or the games have been very hard up until now, but they certainly aren't looking the side that they looked a week or so ago.
Of course, they had the problem against Ireland when they ran out of puff in the last 20 minutes there. Now here come the Welsh again. Replacement player Kevin Hopkins. Replacement player Moriarty left out. Played by Thorburn ahead. Moriarty. He's the freshest player on the field. Gambling around. Whitefoot. Right in the last moments of play. Canadian team made a bold strike for this game. They played themselves into the ground in the first 40 minutes, but could not score a try, and there really was the essence of the ball game. They have, with the losing of this game, but a slender chance of qualifying. And the story of the match has been penalties to Canada. Nothing for Wales from the referee today. But then there was that controversial scrum under the post at the end of the first half, which referee Bishop didn't give. It's a tired-looking Canadian team piling in there. Duncan Robertson, what about this Welsh team? They will qualify for the quarterfinals. Have you liked them? What do you think of them?
Well, I like the way they've run the ball 2 or 3 times, but I think they're going to have a lot of problems in the lineouts against the better sides. They haven't won a lot of line-out ball today against Canada. And I think in the loose, Canada have been there as many times as they've been there. But I think they'll be competitive from here on in.
This is Richard Ford, Sydney North.
So the bones and fibre of the Canadian team crying out for a rest now at the end of a grueling 80 minutes for them. Just trying to score in the first half, trying to stop the flow of Welsh points in the second. Jonathan Davis through the gap. Ieuan Evans, 22-metre line. He's heading for 4. He's got 4. Ieuan Evans. He's in for 4 tries. Now the Welsh have record books as well, and we're rewriting these record books, but Maurice Richards was one player who got 4 tries for Wales years ago, and here's Ieuan Evans matching that. A fantastic run, and in he goes for his 4th try. So that's equalled the Welsh record for tries in an international. It's been held by Maurice Richards and 2 other players. Even Willie Llewellyn, the great player before the turn of the century, got 4. But as we've said so many times in this Rugby World Cup series, there's got to be a big rewrite of all the record books. 8 tries today for Wales.
The try for Wales is scored by
So he's a very pleased young man, is Ieuan Evans. As the charge begins, Wales are through to the quarterfinals with that emphatic victory over Canada by 40 points to 9. There's the successful captain, Jonathan Davis. Gareth Rees and he, they're going to change jerseys sometime, but perhaps not at the moment, because the throng of Southland people who've thoroughly enjoyed this performance today is